Focht with Idaho Department of Fish and Game, and sometimes when I teach at the Nature Center and I ask my class, what do fish eat? I always appreciate it when a student raises their hand and says, fish food. And of course everybody gets a laugh out of that, and of course that's true, fish eat fish food, but what is fish food? That's sort of what we're going to talk about today, is what trout are eating naturally and how you can use that information to better choose a fly with fly fishing. So what do fish eat? The easy answer is insects. The more difficult answer is revealed when you are learning to fly fish. There are many kinds of insects on, above, and under the water. And as you know, insects have different stages in their life cycle. This can make fly fishing and choosing the right fly complicated very quickly. Today we're going to look at a few of the prevalent aquatic insects and their life cycles to help you better start to choose the right fly for fly fishing. 3 insects essential to fly fishing are mayflies, stoneflies, and caddisflies. All 3 of these insects have adult stages that have wings and fly around in the air, and trout definitely jump out of the water to eat them. You've probably seen these insects at the river or creek. You will want flies in your fly box that mimic mayflies, stoneflies, and caddisflies for sure. These adult flies are dry flies, meaning when you cast them out onto the water, they stay on top, imitating what the real adult flies do. However, a lot happens before adulthood. All of these insects have most of their life cycle underwater as juveniles. Often the current can dislodge these juvenile insects. As they float down the stream, they become the primary food source for trout. The flies used to mimic these life stages are larvae, nymphs, and pupa. Let's start with the mayfly. Mayflies undergo incomplete metamorphosis, meaning after they hatch out of their egg, they're a nymph, and they shed their skin several times below the water and then again on the water surface to reveal their adult wings. As they molt and reveal their wings, they are called an emerger. After emerging with wings, there is a vulnerable time period when they must dry out in order to fly. When all dried out, they're called a dun. That's D-U-N, not D-O-N-E, because they're actually not quite done. After one last molt, the insect is finally an adult, eventually returning to the water to lay eggs and die, and can often be seen floating on the surface of the water with wings straight out, and this is referred to as a spinner. As a fly angler, knowing the life stages will help you answer the question, what do trout eat? Fly fishing is all about mimicking the life stages of these insects in order to catch fish. Some common types of mayflies are pale morning duns, or PMDs, drakes, tricos, and blue-winged olives, just to name a few. Each of these would have fly patterns for several life cycle stages, as described before. Patterns purchased or tied at home can be very detailed and specific to each species and life cycle stage. These are meant to match the hatch. But there's certainly very effective general fly patterns that broadly mimic many species in size and color, so you don't need to have a fly for every stage and every species. The stonefly life cycle is strikingly similar to that of a mayfly, except they crawl onto the shore to emerge. A nymph, the underwater juvenile, and the adult pattern for a stonefly is probably all you need. Similar to mayflies, there are a number of stonefly species with slightly different colors and sizes that you will want to imitate based on the insects where you fish. Some of the more common stoneflies in Idaho are salmonflies, golden stoneflies, yellow sallies, and swallows. The caddisfly undergoes complete metamorphosis, which means it has a larva stage and then a pupa stage, much like a butterfly. These are my favorite because the pupa cases are so interesting. They're made of rocks, sticks, sand, sometimes leaves and pine needles. They emerge from their case underwater with wings and travel to the surface. For the most part, if you have a caddis pupa, brown soft hackle flies to imitate emerging caddis with wings, and some brown and tan adult dry flies, you'll have what you need. It will be helpful to have a couple different sizes of each to match the size of the caddis you find where you're fishing. addition to these aquatic insects that we've been talking about, don't forget about terrestrials like beetles, ants, and grasshoppers. Let's talk a little bit more about picking the right fly. To apply your knowledge of insect life cycles, fly anglers can maximize their success at a river by being observant. When you get to the water, do you see feeding fish on the surface of the water, which might indicate the use of a dry fly that mimics a dun or adult? Or are they coming near the top but not breaking the surface? That might indicate they're feeding on emergers. Turn over some submerged rocks near the bank and see what kind of nymphs or juvenile insects are in the water. What color and size are they? Choose a fly that looks or acts like the insects that are out there at the time. Another tip that will help you prepare before you leave the house is that many local fly shops either publish regional fishing reports or provide hatch charts for the time and types of insects that are found on the waters across Idaho. So hopefully you feel more confident now that you know about insect life cycle and the types of flies that can help you catch fish.